You're listening to Get Optimized, the only podcast dedicated to bringing you infinite amounts of clients using forgotten tactics from the grizzled veterans of marketing. Nate Kennedy is the owner of Optimized Assets, the #1 hired agency for businesses that want to leverage digital marketing to scale client acquisition campaigns without scaling effort. Here's your host, Nate Kennedy.
All right, welcome back. Nate Kennedy here with the Get Optimized podcast. I'm excited for today's podcast for you. I got some really cool stuff that's going on. So back here at Optimized Assets, we do a lot of testing of different sales campaigns, ways to double sales, ways to triple sales. And what I'm going to break down today is one of the ways. It's a 3-part sales campaign that we've created, tested, and proven that is doubling sales for our clients. And I want to give you that method today into the podcast. Where this kind of stemmed from and why I ended up putting in kind of thinking of this podcast, because sometimes we get so involved in the business that we forget to create. So the other day, I really had to kick my own ass twice. I woke up in a foul mood and I headed to the gym. I'm like, all right, because most every day I go to the gym. What I do, some days I record this podcast, then I go to the gym. But what I do is on the way to the gym, I had about 15 excuses in 30 seconds on why not to work out. And here's one thing I know about myself is as the gym goes in the morning, my day goes. So if I get a good workout in, I get some good exercise in, I usually tend to have a better day, a better attitude and everything, just the way it goes. So what I decided to do was, all right, well, if I'm going to have excuses, I need to go do something I normally don't do. And so I forced myself to run long distance. And if you meet me in person, you realize I'm built for sprints. I'm built for short distances, not long distances. So I jumped on the treadmill and just started running and didn't stop until I basically couldn't run anymore. I ran longer than I've ran in probably 4 years. And it was brutal. It sucked. But when I got done, my mind had shifted. I'd recalibrated and ready to rock and have a good day. And then in the afternoon, it happened again. I was just didn't really have the productivity or the production I wanted. And what happened is I was like, all right, so my office is real close to the beach. What I did is I headed to the beach and grabbed a coffee, headed to the beach, sat down on this bench, sat there and just basically took 5 minutes of relaxation and no technology, nothing, 5 minutes of relaxation in. And I just sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I could really use a good win today. And what happened with that during that recalibration of some beach time there, oh, by the way, my office is like 2 blocks from the ocean. So it's kind of nice to be able to go do that and kind of chill for a minute and take a break. And if you don't do that kind of stuff in your day to get yourself optimized, I highly recommend taking these little breaks and get away from the computer, get away from technology and kind of just get yourself recalibrated. But the funny thing is, I was talking about how I needed a win in my mind. I was thinking that. But at the end of the day, it had me realize we don't need wins. We have to earn our wins. And if we don't earn our wins, we earn our losses. So kind of just a tidbit there that kind of popped in my head. And I'm like, well, how's the fastest way that I can earn a win? So what I started doing was I started going, all right, the way that I know how to earn a win is to just provide value, to go and just dump value to somebody and help them out. And it usually is a good jump start for being able to earn a win because you're giving as opposed to trying to find a way that you can take. And so that's where this podcast was born. I started mapping out the content for this. And I was like, you know what? I was like, we've had some really awesome wins with our clients. Why don't I map that out and put it on the Get Optimized podcast and help you as a listener be able to do the same thing that we're doing in this 3-part sales campaign. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk a little bit how you can accelerate sales using intelligent, low-cost marketing campaigns that deliver rapid results. Okay. So I think you're going to really, really appreciate this training on this podcast. So be ready to take notes for this one because it's a good one. We're going to be a mix of story, mix of training. So with that, let's dive in. And the biggest thing when it comes to being able to create and improve sales is to understand you got to know the data, not the drama. Data, not drama. So what I like to always ask people is what's more important to them? Is it a 50% opt-in page conversion rate or leads that turn to buyers? So that's what's important. A lot of people get real stuck on the cost per click. They get real stuck on the landing page conversion rate. And they fail to realize at the end of the day, is your CPC, your cost per click, less than your earnings per click? So you got to look at the data, not the drama. And it's not all the way of whether or not your cost per click is $5 or 25 cents or whatever that is. It's really revenue versus expense. And so you got to look at that through the whole process of your sales systems and not just on kind of the front end. So people get caught up because they focus too much on that front end data and the drama of that data that they don't step back and look and go, wait, this thing is actually crushing it. And there's kind of two ways to do that. And when you're getting ready to drive more sales, what I want to talk about, you got two ways of doing that. You got the caveman. Now, the caveman's somebody who basically is like, you know what? We got a little bit of a profit margin. Well, let me step back. So the reason that this podcast is important for you is because traffic cost is increasing and competition's getting stiffer. That we know is happening. So there's two ways to handle that challenge in the marketplace. Number one is the caveman. The caveman is basically saying, you know what? I have a profitable sales system. For every dollar I put in, I'm getting a $1.25 out. So how do I make more money? I go ahead and I just drive more dollars buying traffic and generating leads. So it's just like, well, more money spent, more money made. But at the same time, your profit margins are the exact same. And if anything were to fail or break in that moment, your margins are so slim that things could really snap quickly and you can be negative and in the hole, especially, it's basically like just pound it more, right? Pound through that wall and let's just keep punching the wall to get through it. And then you got the digital samurai. This is somebody who's coming in and going, all right, well, hey, you know what? We know that traffic cost is going up. We know that profit margins are getting slimmer because competition is stiff. And so what we're looking at is how do we improve our sales process? How do we improve our sales campaigns to generate more with what we already have? And that's what we're covering. How to generate more with what you already have. What I'm going to cover is the 3-part sales campaign that is helping us and our clients generate more buyers with the exact same amount of leads that we already have. So what happens when you do that? Your profit margins go up. You can now spend more for clients because you're making more per client. Now you got to keep that the ROI, the net ROI, net profit on there at a good margin. But at the same time, that's what happens. So the caveman would basically place ad, get email, make offers. Well, in today's environment, there's more to it. It's a little bit more sophisticated. You want to leverage your follow-up, which is really, really huge in today's environment. Email is not dead. The death of email did not happen, even though someone wrote about it a while ago. It did not happen. It's still live and strong. And this is where many, many people fail, that they can really have huge success. So there's a 3-part sales campaign that you can run with that. It's the exact same 3-part sales campaign that we used recently with one of our clients that didn't have it in place. They came to us and we started working on it and putting it in place. And right out of the gate, what it did is created an extra $34,369 of reoccurring monthly revenue just in 30 days. That's the power of this. Imagine adding $34,000 of additional monthly reoccurring revenue into your business. So that's the power of it. So what I want to do is break that down. So another big tip here that I want you to understand is that people will find you with direct response, but they stay with you because of your brand. So we leverage direct response marketing, generate leads, generate buyers, but at the same time, they're staying with you because of your brand. So if you're not doing anything in the back end of your business to build your brand, people are going to stop following you or look for other people. So the game has changed as well, but that's just super important. And now that's why I want to talk a little bit about, I'm going to set up this 3-part campaign. So bear with me. We have in marketing, right? We have the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. The way that we look at it is the top of funnel is all your direct response. This is where you're diving into the customer avatar. You're learning all about them. You're understanding their pain points and their symptoms and diving in, like we talked about previously on a podcast. You're talking about their symptoms. You're understanding those, and then you're creating solutions for them. And this is where you're kind of coming up in the top of funnel. You understand your prospects, number one way to take all that information after you gather it, and the way to decrease your ad costs. So this is part 1 of this process, is to go ahead and do prospect splintering. Everybody just tries to cast this wide net. And when we try to cast this wide net, what happens is they end up getting a bunch of people in there that really aren't good fits for their business. So it costs and drives their cost up. So if you do prospect splintering, you take the top 3 to 5 pains and symptoms of your core customer and the person that you can help the most. And what you do is you start crafting your individual content and lead magnets to solve that for them. So this builds awareness and the level of trust. And when you do that, and you're speaking, as we talked about on a previous podcast, is you speak specifically to their issues, to their problems, and their symptoms, all that stuff, right? And you provide the solution for them, that's going to build your awareness of like, yeah, that's me. I need to fix that. And then it's also going to create a level of trust with them and you. So that's what's super important in the very beginning, the top of funnel, is creating that stuff. So what happens is all these different problems and symptoms they have, say they got 3, that can flow down right into kind of your service or your offer. And that's really how you can accelerate your sales using intelligent low-cost marketing campaign. Well, that's one way, like marketing campaign deliver rapid results. That's one quick way to do it.
The fastest way to scale your business is to get optimized. That's why Nate has pulled together his best resources to help you speed up the process. Go to www.natekennedy.com/free to access them now. What are you waiting for? Go to www.natekennedy.com/free right now and get optimized.
Now, let's move to the middle of the funnel. This is after they've kind of come into your system. They've learned about you. This is your sales creation. They know they got a symptom, they got a problem that they got to work, and they know that you can help them. So this is middle funnel. This is where sales creation starts. And this is where you take your core offer, your flagship sales funnel, and then what happens behind it. Most people they have their sales system, the thing that generates that client, whether that's an application to a phone sale, whether that's a training class to a paid product for $1,000, $2,000. Some people are going to use tripwires there or low ticket offers. So there's different things that can happen in the flagship sales funnel that you have. But what happens behind it after they become a customer, after they become a buyer, let me step back. So they go through that process, the flagship funnel that you have, and then they potentially don't buy or they don't upgrade. They don't move in to become more closer to you, more of a customer, more of a buyer. What happens is we have a couple things that happen. We have what's called the pain, logic, gain videos. So we put them through. This is part 2. So part 1 is to do problem splintering. Part 2 is to do the pain, logic, gain videos. So put together, people mainly buy on 3 different reasons: pain, logic, or gain. So we actually take what our core sales system and we break it up into those 3 things to cover those different objections and processes. And we put that information back in front of them. That's going to increase your sales because you're directly solving some of the desires. You're laying out some of the desires and you're solving some of the problems and objections that they have through those videos. So that's number 1. And then you have the Rainmaker series campaign. This is a 7 to 10 day campaign that runs right after that to the people that did not upgrade or buy with you yet. And in that campaign, what we do is we have a very specific flow set on how we do it. And we leverage emails over a 7 to 10 day to generate even more buyers through deadlines, bonus type stuff. So pretty slick. That has doubled multiple times over for different clients. We've tested it multiple ways for ourselves, for others, and it's doubled applications, it doubled sales in different ways. So that is exactly how that works. And that's the campaigns. Now, I want to add one little bonus here. So one way that you can generate more sales even. So let's get to the bottom of the funnel. This is where you're the trusted advisor. So you brought them in on the top of the funnel. You've turned them into a buyer through the sales creation process through the middle of the funnel. Now you got the bottom of the funnel. What do? Well, you got to stay in touch with these people. You got to stay giving them information. You have to be able to provide them with even more value. This is where we move into what we call nurture and pick. So this is an ongoing process. This is nurture and pick. We call our stuff the daily dose. So what this is the most underused strategy that generates daily sales for your business. This is what allowed, frankly, this is actually what allowed Susan and me to travel around the country right before we got married. So when we wanted to we got engaged and we're like, well, what do we want to do? And before we get married, let's go travel around the country and figure out kind of like, where do we want to live? Once we get married, where do we want to live? So we did all these vacation rentals. We did it for about 8 months. We just did vacation rental to vacation rental. Here's the funny thing about that though, is the first place we went was Miami of Florida. Spent a month there in South Beach, which we knew was a place that I think we took the opposite. The goal was to find where we wanted to live, but when we started booking places, it was to go have a bunch of fun. So we went to South Beach and then we went to Key West for a month, and it was winter time back where we were from in North Carolina. So we ended up just hanging out in southern states, and then where it was warmer, right? And then we ended up coming out to California. We went to Vegas and we did all this stuff. Actually, you know what? Interesting enough, we now live in California, but so maybe that had something to play with it. But that's what this nurture and pick campaign is what allowed us to do that, right? We had a list of customers and buyers and we provided value to them and basically my day consisted of waking up, send email, go do a little creation of whatever I needed to get done for the day. And then we'd go hang out for the rest of the day. This is what allowed us to do that. So I think this is a huge piece for you to take over. So it's also what's kind of allowed us to take 2 months of vacation in the last year. So it's a huge, huge thing. There's kind of a structure to it between pointing out the problem, creating some bonding, giving a big insight, and kind of providing a solution. So the one thing I want to give you though is you never know who's in your digital footprint and how long they have been there. And just last month, we had a new client join us who has been following us for over 8 years. So with some of the bonding and storytelling we've done in the follow-up, they've known about like different trips I've taken, different things I've done. And you can really leverage the bonding and build a relationship and be the trusted advisor of people when you run the Nurture and Pick series. So this is really what creates a long-term sustainable business for you. Now, so let's recap real quick what we just covered. We talked about these other sales campaigns that you can leverage. Number one, you want to go ahead and start doing problem splintering, prospect splintering, when you separate them into different buckets and you talk to them specifically, right, to bring them into your system and make you someone that they want to follow and listen. From there, you move into your follow-up campaigns, your follow-up sales campaigns. You have the Pain Logic Gain series, and then you have the Rainmaker series that drives more sales with the leads that you already have. You don't have to go spend more money on more leads. Those two things alone will reduce your cost per acquisition, like lead acquisition, and also increase the amounts of buyers that you have. And then we talked a little bit at the top of funnel, middle of funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. Your goal, direct response in the top. Middle of the funnel is the sales creation process, and then becoming the trusted advisor that they work with. So I got to tell you, this is probably one of the bigger processes. If you could get this implemented, if you need help, I'm happy to help you with that as well. You can actually go to optimizedassets.com/audit. And we can jump in and look at your sales funnel with you and start implementing some of these sales campaigns for you and kind of give you some feedback to see how you can put them into your business. So you can go to optimizedassets.com/audit, AUDIT. Don't be scared. It's just a market sales funnel audit. Nothing bigger than that, but we will find some leaks that you got and help you. So if you do that, and if you want the help with it, but this is probably one of the most powerful things and powerful podcasts, I think, of information that's going to help you generate more buyers in your business. So take full advantage of it. And if you like this training, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us a thumbs up, give us a rating, let us know. And, how it worked in your business. If you want to go it alone and do it in your business, do it. Go out there, put this information in your business and shoot us back some responses on how it helped you. Have a great day. I look forward to the next time being able to drop you some more information and when you're listening in, and talk soon.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.